That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was so good, like this where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds for deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time, our best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They can be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks try to ignore us. So we got the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia who galvanized, know that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch, so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms right here at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, D-R-N-I-I-Q, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union, powered by KBLA, on anywhere you find your podcast, and that way you'll never miss an episode. Now, as I mentioned, as your White House correspondent, guess where I'm at? I'm at the White House, and it has been quite the day. There are always lots of headlines that come out of the White House, but I just want to take the time to remind you that we pay extra attention to the issues that impact you, the issues that are most of concern to you. Of course, there are lots of other outlets that like to chase personality stories, right? And those are its own set of stories out there. But we like to keep our eyes on the issues that matter most to you, to your families, to our communities. And so that's our pledge to you. And, you know, look, we can't guarantee we're going to get it right every day, but we attempt to get it right every single day. And with that, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, earlier today, I had a chance to talk to U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. He did a gaggle outside the portico of the White House. And there's lots of concern around air traffic control. There's actually talk about doing a whole overhaul of air traffic control. Specifically, we've heard in recent days about equipment outages at Newark Liberty International Airport at their air traffic control center that caused controllers to temporarily lose radar and radio communications with aircraft. Yikes. I mean, as somebody who travels from coast to coast frequently, that is frightening. Several controllers took medical leave following the incident, contributing to ongoing delays and cancellations. And even the New Jersey governor, Phil Murphy, he weighed in, calling on the Department of Transportation to prioritize equipment upgrades for the nation's busiest airspace. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association, which represents the nation's air traffic controllers, released new details about the equipment outages that prompted ongoing issues at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey, saying, quotes, on Monday, April 28th, air traffic controllers in Area C of the Philadelphia area were responsible for separating and sequencing aircraft in and out of Newark Airport, temporarily lost radar and communications with aircraft under their control, unable to see, hear, or talk to them. What? Archived audio on liveatc.net from the night of April 28th, it captured air traffic controllers alerting incoming aircraft that they had lost radar contact. And a similar communication outage occurred at the airport on November 6th, according to Aviation, their YouTube channel. This has led to significant delays and cancellations that have occurred at Newark every single day since April 28th, partly because a handful of air traffic controllers, they went on medical leave following the incident, which forced a slower flow rate at the airport. You also might remember that the controllers did not walk off the job, as has been reported by the media. The National Air Traffic Controllers Association saying that due to the event that the controllers took absence under the Federal Employee Compensation Act, the program covers all federal employees that are physically injured or experience a traumatic event on the job. These professionals ensure the safe movement of aircraft through national airspace as a primary goal. And so it had been reported in the news that you had, like 20% of air traffic controllers there who had walked off the job. That's what we were hearing in reports. The National Air Traffic Control Association disputing that, saying that these folks were basically exercising their benefits because they had experienced a traumatic event related to these close calls that happened on their watch. And so that's not the only part of the story that I have found myself zeroing in on. In fact, to make matters worse, it's been reported that there's a critical shortage of about 3,800 air traffic controllers. You know why? There are reports that Federal Aviation Administration officials have made matters worse, causing a shortage of 3,800 air traffic controllers because FAA's DEI practices are leaving a gaping hole in recruitment. That's what some lawyers are claiming. And so I put that question to U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just hours ago, right here at the White House. I asked him point blank period, is it true that over 1,000 would-be air traffic controllers were wiped out from consideration overnight because of diversity and inclusion hiring targets suddenly being implemented? That's what one of the lead lawyers in a class action lawsuit against the FAA, that's what they're saying. And You know what, Secretary Duffy? You know what he told me? He said to me that the Inspector General and outside counsel are investigating it. He also confirmed that there is a pending lawsuit. And so, how are you going to overhaul the FAA? How are you going to overhaul air traffic control if you're also making matters worse by implementing this DEI reform that is making an already existing shortage of air traffic controllers even worse? Make it make sense. Especially as you have families that are getting on flights to see their loved ones walk across the stage for graduations, as summer travel is picking up. Make it make sense. And so you better believe we're going to keep our eye on this story as it continues to grow, and as more information becomes available. But moving along, that's not the only news happening here in Washington. On the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, the Supreme Court today allowed the Trump administration to implement a transgender military ban. NBC News reporting that the Supreme Court today allowed President Trump to implement his ban on transgender people serving in the military. The justices granted an emergency request from the Trump administration to lift a nationwide injunction blocking the policy while litigation continues. The court's brief order noted that the 3 liberal justices dissented. And also staying on that end of Pennsylvania Avenue, the Senate confirmed Trump's pick to run the Social Security Administration amid upheaval at the agency in a 53 to 47 vote along party lines. The U.S. Senate today confirmed the nomination of tech CEO Frank Bisagino. I think I got that right. Frank Bisagino to be the commissioner of the Social Security Administration. Bisagino, a donor to President Trump and the former CEO of payments technology company Fiserv, will lead the federal agency that runs programs providing retirement, survivor, and disability benefits, as well as supplemental income for the very poor. Former commissioners and advocates for older and disabled Americans, they've raised serious concerns about proposed widespread restructuring, mass layoffs at the agency, which has a staff of more than 55,000 employees and serves more than 73 million Americans. Now, look, any agency that is serving 73 million Americans, I would approach with caution. That's not the agency where you just want to, make decisions now and think about how to implement them later. This is a lifeline to so many of our fellow Americans, and just all nilly-willy go through and lay off people from this vital agency that is a lifeline to so many Americans heading into a midterm election year. I wouldn't advise it. Those advocates say that changes like new requirements for beneficiaries, regional office closures, cuts to overtime pay, and plans to cut 7,000 jobs from the agency will lead to longer wait times for services for millions of Americans. Look, I've driven by the Social Security office. I think it's on Wilshire in LA. At least one of them is right off of Wilshire. And I'd never really noticed lines outside the building of the Social Security Administration until recently. Now, I don't know if that's just because I'm a bit more attentive to it now, or if that's always been the case. But either way you cut it, if there are cuts in staffing, cuts in support to this agency, you're going to see much longer lines wrapped around these Social Security Administration offices. Democrats in the Senate have also raised concern about Bosagino's alleged communication with members of billionaire Elon Musk's team, known as the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. So he's already talking with the folks over at DOGE. Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, he accused Bosagino of lying, quotes, about his actions and communications with DOGE and the Social Security Administration prior to his hearing. And during Bosagino's confirmation hearing before the Finance Committee, Wyden said a whistleblower told his office that the nominee personally intervened to get DOGE officials installed and got basically approved in the middle of the night as a result of Bosagino's insistence. Now, Bosagino denied multiple times during the hearing that he was in contact with leaders at the Social Security Administration as well as DOGE. That's what he said. But this is not good. You know, DOGE has been really trying to crack the code to get access to the personal information of our 73 million fellow Americans that are a part of the Social Security system. They've been trying to crack the code for a minute, and it's been a federal judge that's been keeping them from doing that. Now, having Mr. Bosagino at the helm of the Social Security Administration, I don't know about you, but it doesn't look like it bodes well for our personal identifiable information, keeping that private, keeping it out of the hands of people that were never Senate confirmed, people that don't respond to any oversight. This is where we're at. When we come forward, we're digging even deeper into some of the biggest trending headlines. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You got to live in the reality because this is it. Every day you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle. And if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community. And as a people, we've apologized for so much. But when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm actually joining you today live from the White House, where, as I mentioned at the top of the show earlier today, I had a chance to talk to U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. In talking to him in light of some of the flight delays that people are seeing in places like the Newark airport, in light of talk around an overhaul to air traffic control, I asked him straight up, does any of this have to do with the alleged, about 1,000 would-be air traffic controllers who were wiped out of consideration overnight because of diversity and inclusion hiring targets, because those were suddenly being implemented, right? And, he confirmed that the Inspector General and an outside counsel are investigating it. He also confirmed there's a pending lawsuit. And so I think, there's reason to continue to follow that story, in the name of public safety. Look, if we're saying we have a shortage of air traffic controllers, well, why are we wiping out would-be air traffic controllers as a part of, a purge of federal workers, or as a part of a war on so-called DEI hires? I think people want to know. And so we are on that story, and we're going to continue to follow wherever that takes us. But we're digging a little bit deeper into some of the biggest headlines that are trending today. I'm not sure if you all saw this, but much as people say Democrats aren't putting up enough fight, they ain't fighting enough. Well, The Guardian is reporting that Democrats are making this long shot effort to stop President Trump's cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. House Democrats are making this long shot attempt to stop Republicans from downsizing the federal safety net program, including Medicaid, to offset the cost of President Trump's immigration crackdown and tax cuts. The Democratic House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, today announced that his lawmakers are circulating a petition which should really a majority of the chamber sign it. It would force a vote on legislation preventing cuts to the Medicaid health insurance program and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as SNAP. So this thing is known as a discharge petition. This is we're gonna get in our Schoolhouse Rock bag for just a second. Rock with me. This is known as a discharge petition. These efforts face long odds, particularly in a Republican-led chamber. But Republican leaders have recently moved to stop such petitions. And while several Republican lawmakers have expressed concern about some of the cuts being considered to pay for Trump's agenda, they still generally support it. Trump has called on Congress. You might remember he's called on congressional Republican to send him what's dubbed one big beautiful bill, which is expected to extend tax cuts. Remember those tax cuts that were enacted during his first term? He wants to extend those tax cuts to pay for mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, to potentially address other campaign promises, such as ending taxation of tips, overtime, and Social Security payments. This GOP plan to pass the bill using Congress's reconciliation procedure, which only requires a simple majority in both the House and the Senate, meaning that Republicans can afford to lose a few votes from fellow Republicans. There's no two-thirds threshold. There's no 60-vote threshold in the Senate. Nope. All they need is a simple majority if you're doing it by way of reconciliation. And so some Republicans aren't crazy about the possibility of being a part of these deep cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. And under a budget framework that applies to the House, the former program would lose as much as $880 billion, while the latter could lose $220 billion, both major cuts that are expected to have far-reaching effects. There are a lot of our fellow Americans that depend on Medicaid. In California, we call it Medi-Cal. A lot of folks who depend on SNAP as a lifeline. What do you think is going to happen when suddenly people don't have those lifelines? So pay attention. Have you saved the number of the Capitol switchboard in your phone? You may want to do that because it's about to get funky. You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More of the most important headlines you need to know when we come forward.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside a More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he's not sure what Canada's prime minister wants to talk about when the two meet.
I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to speak with President Trump at the White House today. This will be Carney's first trip to Washington since he was elected last week. British Nigerian nursing student Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi, 23 years old, was fatally stabbed in her Houston apartment just days before graduation. Her roommate, Chester Grant, was charged with her murder after an argument, reportedly over their cats. Grant was booked into jail after a failed suicide attempt and charged with murder. And Floyd Mayweather is suing Business Insider for $100 million, claiming defamation over a report that questioned a major real estate deal he was linked to. He says the article was false and damaging to his reputation. Business Insider has responded, calling the lawsuit meritless and vowing to defend its reporting. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
A crash in Pasadena on the 210 westbound at Hill has been cleared to the right shoulder. Delays out of Arcadia from Baldwin Avenue. Also, La Crescenta, a wreck on the 210 eastbound before Lowell. 3 left lanes are blocked. Delays jamming up away from Latuna Canyon Drive. Mid-City on the 10 eastbound past Fairfax. This crash is being cleared out of the left lane. Delays out of Santa Monica getting away from Cloverfield. And San Bernardino, the 10 eastbound before Waterman. They're wrapping up a wreck. Right lane is blocked. Delays off of the 215.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Second round action in the NBA playoffs resumes tonight. Indiana is at Cleveland for Game 2. Indiana has a 1-0 lead in the best of 7. Golden State and Minnesota meet up for Game 1 in their best of 7 in Minneapolis. Congratulations to Grambling State University legend Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to play in a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Williams was one of 6 people honored as a Louisiana legend at a gala award ceremony in Baton Rouge, sponsored by the Louisiana Public Broadcasting Corporation. Williams, who grew up in Zachary, Louisiana, led the Washington Redskins to a Super Bowl victory over Denver in 1988. Williams also is the first black quarterback to be chosen in the first round of the NFL draft. Williams was a first-round pick, number 17 of Tampa Bay in 1978. Williams, now 69, is a senior advisor for Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, joining you not far from the briefing room here at the White House, where earlier today, as I mentioned, I was talking to the U.S. Secretary of Transportation on the case, trying to figure out what is happening with our nation's airports. You know, Newark Airport's been in the news a whole lot recently. I don't know about you, but it feels like we're hearing about a lot of close calls on the runway, more than, you know, what certainly I've been used to hearing about. And look, I travel quite a bit, you know, cross country. And I've been a little uneasy with some of the reports of what's happening with regard to the FAA and the shortage in terms of air traffic controllers. And so we're following this story closely, and we'll update you as we learn more. Because, look, we all have an interest in being able to get to where we're going safe and sound. You're not asking for much to get from one place to another safe and sound. And so, for example, if there are, better times to travel during the day, during the week, I think people want to know that. People also want to know if there's a shortage in air traffic controllers, then why are we eliminating hundreds of potential air traffic controllers on this crusade against so-called diversity hires? If we have the shortage that folks in our government say we have, then why in the world are we firing federal workers in any agency, let alone that agency? People want to know. And so part of my job is to figure it out and find out information that is useful as we all do our part to take care of one another, take care of ourselves, take care of our families, our communities. And so that's our pledge to you. But this hour, we are digging deeper into the headlines, really highlighting some of the headlines that you should be following closely. NBC News reporting on federal workers. I've been talking about federal workers in the FAA. Well, they're not the only federal workers that we should be paying attention to at the moment. I'm talking about there are federal workers in other agencies, but there are also federally funded positions in lots of places, in lots of organizations. And NBC News reporting that Columbia University is cutting 180 staffers funded by federal grants revoked by the Trump administration. Columbia University just today, they laid off 180 staff members working on federal grants impacted by the Trump administration's decision to revoke the university's funding. Now, you might remember that the administration cut $400 million in federal funding from Columbia just this past March. And, they cut the $400 million, accusing Columbia of, quotes, inaction in the face of persistent harassment of Jewish students. It then issued a list of demands, a laundry list of demands to the university, which it mostly, they say they use it to start negotiations on restoring the funding. That's what they say. But the demands, you know what they included? The demands included banning students from wearing masks at protest, hiring campus security officers who can arrest students, and appointing a new senior vice provost to oversee the Department of Middle East, South Asian, and that's right, you guessed it, African Studies. Why those three academic programs? Why a senior vice provost at a university to oversee just those particular programs? Doesn't the campus already have security? Why do they need to hire campus security officers who can arrest students? Oh, is it because that their campus security has a certain protocol? Is it because their campus security already has sort of a due process that prevents them from being able to do that outright? Listen, as reported by NBC News, the move to cut 180 staffers, it was announced today in a letter from top Columbia officials, including the acting president, Claire Shipman, and provost Angela Olenito. And in the letter, The official said the university is, quotes, engaged in a two-pronged effort related to grants terminated by the federal government, which included restoring partnerships with government agencies and adjusting or reducing spending in the meantime. These university officials said that as a result of the financial strain, 180 staff who have been working in whole or in part on impacted federal grants received notices of termination or non-renewal today. And according to officials, they represent 20% of the staff funded by grants of the Trump administration. Now, we're a little over 100 days into the new administration. And already at universities like Columbia, they're having to lay off 20% of the staff funded by grants from the Trump administration. So what's that number going to look like in another 100 days? In another 100 days? In another 100 days? What's that number going to look like by 2028? So just to give you a sense of not just the impact, but the pace of this. Not good. Last week, hundreds of Columbia University students, faculty, staff, and alumni, you know what they did? Because, is it Sir Isaac Newton who said that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction? So just last week, hundreds of Columbia University students, faculty, staff, and alumni, you know what they did? They launched a 25-hour speak out. A 25-hour speak out to criticize school leaders for bowing to the Trump administration's demands after it pulled the millions in federal funding. That's what they did. People like student David Gerges, who was at the rally, he called the administration's cuts, quotes, an all-out attack on science and academic freedom. There was an administration, there's somebody else who said, he went on to say that we are pioneers in biomedical research, legal research, environmental science research. And all of that got cut simply because the Trump administration had a vendetta against universities. So, what does that mean? It means be prepared that this situation might be coming to a college or university near you. Because federal funding is not reserved just for Ivy League schools. Federal funding is everywhere. And particularly in California, where our home station is located, a lot of our colleges and universities are sort of the envy of the world. We have some of the best colleges and universities in the world right there in California. And I'm not just talking about public colleges and universities. There's some great private schools as well. I teach at one of them, Pepperdine University. But the very issue of academic freedom, this is not some intellectual exercise. It's on and popping. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986,
Litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's cal-cruise-news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Before we get to the quiet part out loud, I just want to remind you that in our second hour, I'm really looking forward to shifting gears, and we're going to talk about all things Met Gala. And so don't be shy in the group chat. Get in A More Perfect group chat on the YouTube if you're streaming. And let us know, who were some of your favorite looks on the red carpet? Well, it wasn't red carpet. I think it was a blue carpet. But, I mean, it was just breathtaking. And so we don't you worry. We gonna dig all up in the story around yesterday's iconic Met Gala. Iconic. With Adam Glassman. He's the creative director of Oprah Daily, formerly known as O, the Oprah magazine. And he is one of Oprah's go-to people when she is creating O's favorite things. Her favorite things list. Like, he is like working on that throughout the year. And so really looking forward to analyzing and really just gushing over yesterday's Met Gala with Adam Glassman in our next hour. But in this hour, we've been really sharing with you some of today's biggest headlines, attempting to go beyond some of the biggest headlines. And in doing that, it is so important that we are paying attention to what is happening on our college and university campuses. Just a moment ago, I was talking to you about how there are a number of universities, not just the Ivy League schools, that are grappling with cuts to their federal funding. A number of their federal grants are being cut, which means they're having to cut staff positions, part-time and full-time. In fact, I was just talking about how Columbia cut 180 staffers funded by federal grants revoked by the Trump administration. And now we're hearing reports that the NAACP is requesting a formal meeting after the Kennesaw State University ends their Black Studies program. The GRIO is reporting that the NAACP in Georgia has requested a formal meeting with the Kennesaw State University after the school announced that it was deactivating a handful of, quote, low-producing majors, including its Black Studies program. How is a Black Studies program at a public university in the state of Georgia, where there are a lot of Black people, how is that a low-producing major? You see, in a recent memo addressed to colleagues, officials at the third largest university in Georgia announced it would be deactivating the Black Studies, Philosophy, and Technical Communications major effective immediately. The GRIO's reporting this, WABE is reporting this, as well as our folks over at the Atlanta Voice. According to WABE, Kennesaw State University's Assistant Vice President of Strategic Communications, Tammy DeMel, referred to the program as low producing, quote unquote, low producing, because of their low student enrollment. And in emails obtained by the Atlanta Voice, university officials said that given the low enrollment, the low student enrollment, the programs were no longer needed after reevaluation, and they were making the best decision for their limited resources. That's what they said. Are you curious as, okay, well, what's the criteria? Because that's where my mind went. Okay, you're making this decision. What's your criteria? Based on what? Well, the University System of Georgia criteria for, quote, low producing is less than 10 for a bachelor's program. And while the Black Studies and Technical Communications program had fewer than 10 students, WABE reported that the philosophy program had 40 students enrolled as of April 29th. A 2-year teach-out plan will be implemented to students currently enrolled in the program. And faculty and staff will keep their positions to continue offering minors, general education courses, and electives. Now, I'm sure you can understand how and why this announcement has rattled members among the faculty, the student body, and beyond, and including the NAACP. In fact, the Georgia State Conference of the NAACP, they're alarmed by reports regarding the potential elimination of the Black Studies program at Kennesaw State University. That's what they posted on X not long ago, strongly condemning the decision. They went on to say that the Black Studies program is not just an academic discipline, it's a vital space for intellectual inquiry, for cultural affirmation, and historical truth-telling. The Georgia State Conference of the NAACP said, quote, its presence reflects a university's commitment to inclusive education and the representation of marginalized voices in the academic canon. And they went on to say that the dismantling of such a program would be a profound disservice to students of all backgrounds and a clear step backward in the ongoing pursuit of equity and justice in higher education. According to the Atlanta Voice, staff are disputing the move to deactivate the program as a violation of the resolution, a violation of a resolution that was passed. Yep, that's what's going on. And so keep your eyes peeled, because I suspect that this is not the only Black Studies program that will become a target, particularly in public colleges and universities. You know, these are departments, these are programs that are many, many, many years in the making. And if at the third largest public university in the state of Georgia, if they're deactivating their Black Studies program, then what about Black Studies programs in places like Iowa or in places like Oregon, Wisconsin, places where there's a far smaller, a much smaller Black population? What happens? Well, it's on our watch. This is a good time if you are an alumni of your university, wherever it might be, whether you are someone who studied African American studies as a major or minor, or maybe took an African American studies course, or just believe that it was and continues to be important to the discourse on college campuses across the country, including your alma mater. It's a good time to pick up the phone and call your university. Write your university. Let them know it's important to you and that you're watching. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward in our second hour, we're switching gears and we are unpacking that iconic Met Gala, one for the ages. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Mayor Eric Adams' administration is rolling out a new program that will help offer student loan forgiveness to New York City public service employees.
And right now, thousands of city employees can get their debt wiped out, and they do not even know it. So match with the partnership with Summer. We want to make sure the information is out there.
The mayor announced a plan to help 100,000 city workers reduce or erase $360 million in student debt through the Federal Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program with support from the company Summer. Black Carnegie Mellon professor Dr.